Education and tax reform were your two biggest priorities, or two of your biggest priorities for this legislative session. Education did great, but tax reform fell short. What do you think that is, and do you expect it to be a priority for you next legislature?
Yeah, I want Oklahomans to hear from me. I mean, last year I advocated for a tax cut. I called them in for special session and advocated for a tax cut. All the House passed those tax cuts. The Senate has not taken it up. I'm asking the Senate to hear those tax cuts, put them up on the floor for a vote. I'm considering calling people back for another special session to get a tax cut done. You know, when you think about it, if we have $6 billion in savings and we have $1.2 billion in excess revenue above expenses, you shouldn't just spend all that money. You should give some of that back to the taxpayer. And so the fact that we weren't able to get that done, to me, is just unbelievable. And I wanted to let you know, we're getting further and farther behind. Pennsylvania, their tax rate is 3.07%. Michigan, these are Democratic states. Michigan, their tax rate is 4.25%. North Carolina is what ours is, 4.75, but they've got a plan right now by 2027 to go to 3.99%. That's North Carolina. Iowa is going to 3.9%. Louisiana currently is 4.25%. That doesn't include all the states that are already at 0%. South Dakota's at 0, Nevada's at 0, Wyoming's at 0, North Dakota's at 2.9%. I could go on and on of how we're getting further and further behind. I want Oklahoma to be the most business-friendly state in the country. And we need, when we have excess revenue, we need to just slow the growth of government and not spend every dime that we have in revenue. And remember, when we do a tax cut and we put money back in Oklahomans' pockets, it's not like it disappears. All we're saying is they know how to spend their money better than the government. And then they're going to be buying bicycles, and their sales tax goes up, and all the revenue goes up. There's more money in the system that gets spun, and that's good for our economy. So again, I'm not going to stop advocating for lower taxes when we have excess revenue to spend. I'm not going to be a governor that just wants to grow government and spend every dime that we have.
What kind of criteria are you looking at if you do call special sessions? Are you considering it? What exactly are the considerations involved? What are you waiting for?
Well, we've got to wait for this session to end first, but you know, the thing is, I'm hopeful that we would get a tax cut done, and again, I just said it. I believe in smaller government. I believe in lower taxes. I believe that's good for the economy. That's good for Oklahomans. And when the economy's booming, the reason we were able to do such a great win in education is because our economy's booming. We're top 10 in people moving to our state. We just landed the largest economic development in state history with Enel, 1,500 more jobs. We're really close to another major project announcement. So you guys saw the new refinery going in, a $5 billion investment. All of that is working together, and that's good for education. It's good for infrastructure. So I'm just trying to keep the momentum going. I say it all the time, it's a zero-sum game. We have to balance all these priorities, but the taxpayers are a priority as well. And the economy is a huge priority. And so if we've got to keep that momentum going. And so I've got a lot of things to consider after this, after Sine Die, and then we'll see. I don't believe that the Senate's going to take up the tax cuts at this point. So we'll have to maybe call back in for a special session and talk about it.
Senate Pro Tem Greg Tweet yesterday, he was asked about, do you think the governor's going to call you back into a special session on tax cuts? And he said, well, the governor did that last year and it didn't work, so I don't think he'll do that again. So, why try, I guess, I can't think of a better metaphor, but running at the same wall in the same way?
Yeah, well, when we called them in last time, they said, well, we want to study it. Remember that? We want to study it. We want to put our plan together. And so now we've done that, and nothing got done this year. So we're going to keep the pressure up because I know Oklahomans want it. And Oklahomans, I want Oklahomans to know that I'm advocating for them. And if they want lower taxes, they're going to have to get involved and help me push their representatives to their elected officials to say, hey, I don't get a chance, I don't get to write the laws, the legislature does that, but as the governor, I get to talk about the big picture and not just one area of state government. I get to talk about the big picture of moving our state forward, and I know that this will help move our state forward.
Is there anything you liked or didn't like in the state budget?
I'm sorry?
Is there anything you liked or didn't like in the state budget that they're preparing to send to you today? Minus the taxes.
You know, I don't like the amount of spending that we're doing, so I'm still reviewing all of that. It looks like we're spending a lot of our savings account, and we're also raising the base level expenses above reoccurring revenue, which is something that I 100% am, I think it puts us in a harmful situation. But we'll have, once I get the final budget, we'll have probably another press conference to kind of talk about the specifics of the budget. But I've always said, here's reoccurring revenue. We've got to keep expenses below that. And if I see expenses go above that, I'm going to tell Oklahomans about it. And that's not being fiscally prudent. It's not being intellectually honest. And now we're betting on the come next year that we're going to actually grow. And I don't want to ever put Oklahomans in that situation. I've been here for 5 years now. The reason we're in a good spot is because we have been adamantly disciplined to keep expenses below revenue. And we've saved that difference. And I don't want to get into a point where we're changing that direction. So,
Other than tax cuts, what do you think the legislature left undone this year?
not a lot. We got most of our priorities done. Really proud of some of the policy we did, especially around education. I think that was historic, like we talked about. We got the marriage penalty eliminated. We got the franchise tax reduced, which is great. So there was some tax reform in there, but we didn't give a quarter of a point back to the people, which is really what I was fighting for. With inflation and everything costing more, I really wanted to get that done for Oklahoma. And so I'm disappointed in myself that I could not advocate for Oklahomans and get that done. So that's why I'm going to continue to fight for that. And I'm also going to continue to try to hold the growth of government so we don't get ourselves in a bad situation in 2, 3, 4 years from now. We can't spend our savings account, and we cannot raise expenses above revenue and just hope that we keep growing revenue on that side. That's a bad situation. Nobody in their family's budget, if you make this amount of money every year, you bet on that raise next year and you raise your expenses, your monthly expenses above what you bring in. It doesn't make sense. You're not going to live on credit cards, and we shouldn't do the same thing in government. We should always spend less than we bring in.
For more information, you can visit TulsaWorld.com.